Welcome to the Happiness in Their World podcasts from the Global Happiness Crusade. Our guest today is a triple amputee war hero, an Invictus multiple gold and silver medalist and motivational speaker, the inspirational Dave Watson. We're here today at a place of profound honour. The Bastion Monument and Wall at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire is a faithful replica of the original wall that stood at Camp Bastion in Afghanistan. This site commemorates 456 British service personnel who lost their lives or later died from injuries sustained during the Afghanistan conflict. Carved into the granite wall are names etched in memory, a reminder of lives given in service and sacrifices made in silence. It's here, in this sacred and solemn place, that we record one of the most meaningful conversations in the Happiness in Their World podcast series. Because today's guest stood among these ranks. Dave Watson is no ordinary man. A former Scots Guardsman, a triple amputee after an IED blast in Helmand Province, a multiple gold and silver medal winning athlete, a motivational speaker, a husband, a father, and above all, a symbol of what human resilience truly looks like. But we're not here to recount horror stories. We're here to honour courage and to explore new hope, healing and happiness, and how it can rise from the ashes of loss. As the wind moves through this place of remembrance and the light falls on the stones behind us, I'm humbled to bring you this conversation. This isn't just about what Dave lost. It's about everything he chose to rebuild, with heart, with humour, and with unshakable spirit. I'm proud to call this man a friend. This is his world, and this is Dave Watson. So welcome, Dave Watson.
Steve, how are you?
Very good, mate, very good.
Good, good.
Take a seat.
Thank you.
So Dave, let's get this started by talking about the soldier's dream. What inspired you to join the Scots Guards?
What inspired me? Well, when I've always wanted to join the army, always. I'm not that one person what wants to sit behind a desk and work on a computer 9 to 5. That wasn't me. So I've always wanted to join. I left school, and I did say to my parents, "I'm joining the army." They were like, "No, you're not." So what did I do? I thought about it, and I thought, right, I'm going to go and get a trade behind me. And if I still want to join, I'm my own man, then I can do what I want. So I got a trade, I got a building trade, just in case the military weren't for me. But I joined the military, and as I was joining, I found out that I was talking to my granddad. He served, and then I found out that his brother served with the Scots Guards when he was my age. He unfortunately got killed.
Right.
And he showed me a picture of my granddad's brother. I thought I could do that. So I went to the careers office, and I went in. I said, right, I want to sign on. First of all, they went, here's some DVDs, here's some brochures, leaflets. Go home, read about it, watch them, and then come back if you feel any different. So I walked away. I went to the bus station, and I thought, what am I doing? I've always wanted this.
Yeah.
And I just stood back up, walked back to the careers office, went to the door. He opened the door. He went, I knew you'd be back. You've just got one of them mentalities. I knew you'd be back. So from that day, I joined the Scots Guards. I went to do all my physical training. And he said, after I'd done my physical training, I went back, I told him I was back, and he said, when do you want to join? I went, ASAP. So he's had a look on the computer. He said, I've got some good news. I said, what? He said, you're joining. So this was on a Thursday when I went in. And then he said, you're joining on Monday.
Wow.
My 6-month training. I literally had Friday, Saturday, Sunday to see my family, to go and see him, to go and see my mates. And then Sunday night, I travelled to Catterick, ready for Monday morning. And then that was my 6-month training starting.
Wow. So, can you remember the feeling the first time you stood on duty at Buckingham Palace or another one of the royal palaces?
I can, and I can remember bullying the boots as well.
I'll bet.
It was a proud day. My first one was St James's Palace, and it was a proud day to stand there in my tunic, looking smart, and knowing that while I'm stood here doing what I'm doing, I'm protecting the royal family as well. I'm protecting my country.
Yeah.
And it was the proudest day I could ever think of.
So, tell us that story of the hot summer's day and the unexpected orange juice encounter with royalty at Windsor Castle, I think it was.
It was Windsor Castle, yeah. I got put on the back post where the long road is going down to the park.
Yeah.
So I'm stood there, and then the people I'm watching walking around the park look like little ants because I'm that far away from them. And I'm stood there, and it were a boiling hot day, and I'm stood there in my tunic, my tweeds, my bearskin, and then I think I was there for about an hour, and then I got a glimpse of something in the corner of my eye. And I can't move, I can't look round, and they were getting closer and closer. And as they've got in front of me, it's the Queen with a silver tray with some orange juice, some biscuits on.
Wow.
And there's a secret garden to my right hand side to my post. And she said, "Guardsman, come in here." So I've gone in. She's put it on a little table. She sat down with me for 5 minutes, had a chat, and then she said, "You stay there. You have some orange juice, some biscuits, and get back when you're ready." I said, "Okay, thank you very much, Mum." And that were just a so unreal moment. The Queen bringing orange juice and biscuits round for me. But it weren't until after she left that my captain walked round the corner, realised that I wasn't on guard. He's walked into the secret garden and he's going absolutely mental. He's effing and blinding at me. Who the effing hell's told you can sit behind here? Tell me who it is. I'm going to go and see him. I'm going to do this. I went, "You're not." And he went, "You tell me who it is now. I'm going to go and see him." I went, "It was the Queen." He went, "You carry on. You stay there." So, you know what I mean? You cannot go to the Queen and start shouting at her for what she's just done. So
Absolutely not.
I managed to get like a half an hour off duty having some orange juice and biscuits because the Queen said I could.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, what a memory to have, you know, to even meet royalty in the first place, but that's just a special memory.
Oh yeah, and to get served by the Queen,
Absolutely.
it was just so unreal, and I never thought that would ever happen in my time.
And I bet you thought it wouldn't happen again, but
But
something else
yeah,
did happen, didn't it? Because,
it did.
okay, tell me about the story when you danced with the Queen at the Gillies Ball. What do you remember most about those moments at Balmoral?
Well,
Tell me about that.
happening once and then happening twice, that's just a mind-blowing moment.
Yeah.
We got posted to Balmoral to look after the Queen and the royal family because they go to Balmoral for 4 months of the year. That's the Queen's downtime.
Yeah.
Where she can be her own person and do what she wants to do. So we have two separate companies. We have security who look after our living spaces, and then we have the Gillies. That they go up to Balmoral every day to look after the Queen's ponies and like clean them and make sure they're all looking nice, and to go out on with the gillies, to go out with the royal family to go shooting deer and everything, because it's proper old school. They still shove the deer over the ponies and bring them back. My job out there with the larderman, because I got brought up as a child doing stuff outdoors like rabbiting and ferreting and fishing, I knew how to skin a rabbit and stuff like that. None of the others did, so that was my protocol. Doing skinning the deers when they come in. And while I was doing it, you got to meet all different kinds of royal family, because they all used to come and see what deer had been caught and what stag had been caught, see any royal deer had been caught. So they all used to come every day to have a look. So I got talking to a lot of them. But then there's a gillies ball, and only a certain amount of soldiers can go. So you've got to go and learn all this like Scottish dancing and so on. And I got selected to go, and I thought, right, brilliant. And we got there. There were all the gillies. There was guests. There were royalty, and one of the dances, what it was. So the men had to stand in a circle, and the women had to stand in a circle. The men are in front of the women. The men go clockwise. The women go anti-clockwise to the music. When the music stops, you turn around and see who you're dancing with. So I thought, right, brilliant. Did it. The music stopped. I've turned round, and at this point, I'm taller than what the Queen were. I was 6'1", and I've turned round, and I was literally looking over the top of her, and I'm like, what? And then my bosses went, look down, like just pointed down. So I've looked down, I've seen the crown, and the Queen was stood there, and yes, I danced arm in arm with the Queen, and that was just a so unreal moment, me having to dance with a Queen. A lad from Preston, like in the middle of nowhere, a little village of Bamber Bridge. I've never in my life thought that had ever happened to someone like me, but it happened twice.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing. Amazing story. What an inauguration into your into your first months of service in the Scots Guards. What did it mean to you to be serving the Queen and the country? I mean, obviously at this moment in time, you haven't done any active service yet. You've done ceremonial stuff and you've done royal protection.
So everything I was doing, it all meant something to me. I was looking after I was protecting the royal family, and I was protecting everyone in the country. Because as soon as you pass out of training, you are a serving soldier. You are doing everything you can for this country, and that's what I wanted to do. And it meant so much to me to do that side of the job as well, to protect the Queen from her own houses, and to stand there and let the public look at us thinking they're protecting us, they're looking after us. It just meant so much. And every day when I went out parade, I never slumped, I never did anything. I always stood up tall, protecting my country, and this is what I'm doing.
An off-script question now. Was that the general feeling amongst all you guys? Did you all feel the same sort of way?
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think we did. I never asked anyone.
Yeah.
But once you're in that uniform, you're always stood 6 foot tall, no matter how tall you are.
I'll bet, yeah.
You're always stood 6 foot tall, next to the back of the collars, like proper stiff. You're there to protect, and that's it.
So, Dave, let's talk about the day everything changed. Can you walk us through those moments in Afghanistan that changed your life? I think it was some months later after the Balmoral event.
Yeah, of course I can. And being out in Afghan, when we got told we were deploying out there, it were a scary time, but we've been trained to do what we were meant to do. And on the day we were going out on a fighting patrol, because we got told the Taliban were moving in and they were pushing all the locals out. So we set up early morning, about 3 o'clock. We went out on a routine fighting patrol to push the Taliban away. And when it were getting lighter, it just got more weirder. I've done umpteen patrols through that 3.5 months I were in Afghanistan, and this one just felt different. Everyone were hiding away. No locals on the streets, no nothing. It just felt different, and it puts a different perspective on what you're trying to do. So I were the LMG gunner. We were walking down like an alleyway, it would here, and there was a dog barking. Locals were looking over the wall. We got to the end of it, and then a few days before, one of our mastiffs got blown up. All that had gone, all what were there were the wheel. So the wheel, the Taliban can make IEDs out of anything. So the Taliban had made an IED out of the wheel, so we didn't go anywhere near that. We carried on, and our interpreter were listening to the Taliban on the radio. They were saying that they've got us all surrounded. They can't go anywhere. We were just pushing on, even though they had us surrounded. And we were getting into a stream. And I was, out of 53 of us, I was the third to last man. So I was the 50th guy. So we got into the stream. There's an IED to our right hand side on the edge of the water and the banking. And as I got in, I've passed it, and then my mate slipped behind me. As my mate slipped, there's only, out there, you can only think for seconds. It's a split second, and you've got to do it. So I thought, right, I need to go and help him. I've turned round. As I've turned round, I've heard the click, and I've heard the bang. It's threw me 15 foot in the air, but as it's gone up, the LMG smashed me in the face. You could say 100 mile an hour. And then it was just like being hit in the face with a football. You just get that little blackout moment, then you shake it off, and you're right. But with me, it's hit me in the face. I've been thrown 15 foot in the air, and I've landed back first into the water. But as I've landed back first, all the water's come over the top of me. I'm currently drowning at this point, because I tried to get my head above water. I couldn't do it. I didn't know why. And then my life was flashing before my eyes. I seen that white light, and then the guys have dragged me out, sat me on the edge, and said, "Dave, don't look down." And I went, "What do you mean, don't look down?" I had to see what had happened. So as I've looked down, my legs were gone completely. All what were there were my shin bones. And then while they were putting the tourniquets on to stop the bleeding, I felt pins and needles in my arm. I've looked at my arm, and my arm was just dangling off with its like just being held on by its tendons. The hand had been degloved, so I had my skin dangling at one side, my arm dangling at the other. And then, true military fashion, I've looked at it and I've gone, I've lost that. I've given it a high five, like a see you later, and then they've just that's true military fashion. Do you know what I mean? It's like a see you later. And then they put me on the stretcher. I'm spitting teeth out. My jaw's broke. With everything what I had on my body armour, I was lucky because I had grenades on my body armour. I had loads and loads of rounds in my backpack. I had my bayonet in my body armour, so that could have gone anywhere. Them grenades could have exploded. The bayonet could have stuck in me. I was lucky. And then while they were sorting it out, I was really lucky because under my arm, because they fill all the IEDs full of nuts and bolts and screws and everything like that. The screws have hit under there, so I've got a massive hole under my arm. So I was lucky because I could have lost from shoulder down.
Yeah.
But realizing what happened, I was looking at myself, thinking, right, my life's over. I'm not gonna make it back home. I was having a laugh and a joke. Do you know what I mean? I was saying to the lads that, like, don't worry about me. You've got another 3.5 months out here. I'm going home. I'm going to the pub. You know what I mean? I'll be in the pub before you are. I weren't in any pain because of all the adrenaline going through my body. It's like going out on a night out and you get into a scrap. That first time you get hit, you get adrenaline going through your body where you can't feel anything. The amount of adrenaline that were going through mine, I were in no pain at all. And then the mates turned up. The guys have picked me up on the stretcher. The back of the mates angled like that. They're walking up, and then the guy what's at the bottom, he slipped and dropped me. And I turned around to him. I said, "Do you not think I've been injured enough? You just want to drop me?" And he's like, "Oh, sorry, Dave. Sorry."
Oh,
And they
God.
put me up back. They put me up back of this mate, and I'm led there, and all these medics were all over me. They had to put me to sleep because of the stuff they were doing on the flight. They had to do it while they were going to Camp Bastion. So they put me to sleep. They've sort of done bits on the flight. I've got to Camp Bastion, and as I'm coming off, I've woke up, and I asked him if I could have a cigarette before I went in because it might be my last one. They said no, and I went, "That's not fair." And then they took me in anyway, and then I were asleep then, and I woke up in Selly in Birmingham.
Okay, so you covered a massive amount there. I mean, that's just incredible. The thing that just struck me is how you still managed to find humour in the middle of all of that. That's amazing. Do you remember what went through your mind as when the dust started to settle?
Nearly an LMG.
Yeah, nearly.
No,
Yeah.
well, the things that were going through my mind when it happened was, I'm not going to make it home.
Right.
I'm not going to make it home. That's me done. Because I did get told when I woke up in Selly, I died 4 times on the way back from Afghan.
Quick question off script. When you had that thought, I'm not going to make it home, did you reconcile yourself with that thought? Were you okay with that thought, or were you thinking, I don't want to think like this?
I were okay. I were okay because, like I was saying before, I joined the military to do a job, and I knew me joining, I could go out to Afghan, I could die, I could not come home, I could get injured, all part of the job. And my mindset was on the job. It always has been ever since I left school.
Yeah.
So if I didn't make it back, I knew I'd done a job and I'd done it right. So yeah, I was all right with if I didn't come home.
So back home then, what were the early days of recovery like? Headley Court, was it you went to?
Yeah. So like I woke up in Selly, and I thought I'd have been stuck in hospital for months and months and maybe years, but I wasn't. I was in hospital for 3 weeks. So I'd done 2 weeks in Selly, and they transferred us all over to Birmingham, and I was in Birmingham for a week, and then I was home. I don't know whether that was because the nurses were getting sick of me and my jokes and everything like that. I don't know whether they did it early to send him home. But yeah, I went home 3 weeks after hospital. I went home for 2 weeks. Being at home was strange. It was tiring because everyone coming round to see me. But a bit what I've never told was when I was in hospital, I kept looking at my Facebook because I was getting a lot of posts on my Facebook. But then I started getting like RIP posts, And I'm like,
Okay.
what's going on here? A lad over in Afghan, same name as me, same age, got killed, and it's probably been put on the news or something like that, and like everyone thought it was me,
Right.
because it was Dave Watson, same age, and then I had to get someone to do my Facebook post for me, so they put on that it's not me, I'm here. But then I went home and everyone was coming around to see me. It was tiring because I was still in recovery. I was still led on my settee at home, and people were just coming around. But I could only see like 3 people at a time because it was just so tiring speaking about the same things over and over again.
And I suppose reliving it, you know, reliving the actual events of it, as you've just done now a few minutes ago, that must be draining.
It is draining. And when I was going out, and going for a drink and that, people would always come and speak, and it was the same story over and over again. Because the Evening Post, I was doing a lot with my local paper at the time, so we decided to do a post a week, me and the paper once a week, letting everyone know what's going on, so they didn't have to ask me all the questions when I were out. So I did that every week, and that got easier. Me letting people know through the paper what I was up to, what I was doing, how recovery's going. That went really well, because when I was going out, when I was coming home, it was just like having my mates again. Do you know what I mean? Just having a laugh, instead of talking about everything I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. Was there a particular person or moment that gave you the will to fight on through all of that?
Yes, there was, because going back, being able-bodied, you don't hear about, like, you don't watch like Paralympic stuff or stuff like that. You watch the main Olympics. But once I'd heard about like the Paralympics, and when I were in Headley Court, there was a charity called Limb Power. They do like miniature games they do a miniature games every year for a weekend for amputees. We got invited down, just to try some sports and try some stuff and see what we're good at. And I thought, right, I'll give it a go. So I went down there. I did powerlifting. I did discs and shot put. I did tennis. I tried it all. But at that point in time, because it was only a few weeks after my injury, it wasn't really doing anything for me. I wasn't in that frame of mind.
You weren't in the right mindset.
Yeah, I weren't in the right mindset to just find something straight away. So I just did what I had to do to get through it all.
But that helped you. It just gave you a bit more a distraction, I suppose, that helped you find the extra will. I mean, Dave, people are going to listen to this and think, I could never do what he did, but what I'd like you to do is to talk about the struggles just as much as the wins, because it might help people believe that resilience is possible for them too. So what I'm getting at is what we've just said, the human mindset and the inner world. Many people in your position would have given up. What was going through your mind to carry on, keep going?
Well, I'm not going to paint a bright picture. I did have some struggles at first. For the first 2 years, I turned to the drink and I turned to the drugs. I'm not going to lie about that. That's my story. Because I was sat at home thinking I can't do anything. I weren't in that mindset to pick anything straight away. So the only thing I could do when I was at home was go to the pub and this, and then things got worse and I turned to the drink. But it was what was making me forget about what had happened.
Yeah.
In 2010, it was making me forget. So I carried on doing it, and at the time where I wanted to change, something come like a trip over to America to meet up with some Americans and do some sports and stuff. I went over there and I thought I'll see what's going on. Went over, I tried a few sports, and then I went over to the discus and shot put, and I threw my shot put, and with my strength and my build, I were good at shot put. And then I tried discus, and I were in like a line of 6 of us. I were watching them throw. They were doing all right. I thought they were doing well, and it got to me. I've sat on the frame, and I've thrown three throws, and the guys have gone, right, stop. They've got their long tape measures out, and I'm like, I asked them, I said, what are you doing? I said, you haven't done that to anybody else. Why are you doing that to me? And they've got the long tapes out, they've measured, and it weren't until they come back that they turned around to me and they said that I've just broke the American record for my category. And I went, what? And they went, you've just broke the American record for your category. And I'm like, wow. I've found something to take over what I used to do.
Yeah.
So football and boxing were my thing, and finding discus and shot put, it were finding them to take. Because I wanted to find something what I loved as much as football and boxing, and I did it. But it couldn't get put down on paper because I wasn't a registered athlete.
All that matters was what was up here.
I knew I'd done it. They knew I'd done it.
Yeah.
So from that day, I turned around and went, that's it. I'm done. I'm packing it all in. I'm coming back, I'm training, I'm getting a coach, and that's it. And I did. And it was that what I needed to change my life.
That changed your mindset.
It did.
Yeah, that answers that question perfectly. What was going through your mind in those days? Well, that trip to America changed your mindset completely and catapulted you on another journey. Before we go on to that, because we'll talk about that in a minute, did you ever feel bitter or angry about what happened? And if you did, I mean, you mentioned that you did, you've probably already answered this question really, but how did you work through those emotions? Was it with things like the sport or was there a mental aspect as well?
Yeah, so a lot of people used to turn around to me and say, like, you must be angry at them for what they've done to you and everything like that. I went, no. I said, I'm angry with myself. At one point, I was angry with myself because I did that 1 second think and turn around to go and help a friend. Yeah, it was a friend, and I'd take a bullet for any of them. But it's always playing it back. What if instead of turning to my right, why didn't I turn to my left?
Yeah.
So I were angry with myself because I kept reliving it and thinking, what could I have done different? I could have turned to my left and gone around that way, or I could have, or I instead of turning around, step back instead of turning. So I was angry with myself. I wasn't angry with them for doing it because we're out there to do a job. Their job is to stop us
doing your job,
doing our job.
Yeah.
And I understood it. So were I angry with them? No, I wasn't. And I've said it to a lot of people. If I met the guy what planted that IED, what would I do? I'd shake his hand. Because, yeah, you all live able-bodied lives. I did it first, right? Parking on drop-down curbs. You don't think, because you're not disabled.
Yeah.
But I've lived both sides of it. And he's given me another life.
There's only someone in your position, I think, that can actually make that statement. That statement itself is quite brave to say. Most people see combat and they see war as being an adversarial thing. It's one country against another. Why would you shake the hand of somebody that tried to kill you? That's brave what you just said. I can understand it. I can understand it. I'm not sure I could feel the same way. I don't know, but I can appreciate you saying that. Okay, Dave. What was harder, dealing with the physical pain and surgeries, or the emotional journey that you went through?
It's the emotional journey. Like I said before, when it first happened, I've never been in any pain. Like I thought I would be, but I haven't. I haven't been in any pain. But the emotional pain, learning to do everything all over again.
Yeah.
Because I used to be right-handed, so learning to do stuff with your left and everything that were hard. Learning to walk again, being sat in a chair for what 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks. That has an impact because when you get up and start walking, all your muscle mass has gone. You've got to build all your muscles up again to learn to walk. So it was the physical side of it for me. What were the emotional side?
People talk about resilience as if it was a switch, but for you, this wall of resilience that you built, was that built mainly through sport, or was it a combination of sport and family? And
It was just being me and not changing. Being me and not changing. Yeah, I've lost 2 legs and an arm, but I'm still Dave Watson. I'm still the class clown I were when I was in school. I were always making jokes. So making jokes about what happened got me through
yeah,
to today.
so I mean that more or less answers the next question. I think, were there any mantras or affirmations or specific people or habits or inner beliefs that help you keep going when it got as tough as it gets? As you say, humour played a big
Yeah,
part.
humour, and doing what I loved in sport. That's what got me through it.
That's powerful, Dave, having that sense of humour that gets you through everything, particularly what you've been through. If you were talking to someone now who was going through their own version of rock bottom, what do you think you might say to them?
What I would say, because it happened to me, a lot of people say they're in that dark hole, but that dark hole can be as deep as you want it. With me, I had to physically hit rock bottom to bounce back up again. You can't just go halfway and say you're all right and there you go, carry on. You've got to literally hit rock bottom to bounce back up again. And I did that. And what I would say to him is never give up. It will get lower. You'll get lower, but you will rise. There will be that something what you will take on and you will rise above and you'll never hit rock bottom again.
That famous quote, I can't remember her name, Mayer, I think her name is, she says, "Again I rise."
Yeah. That's exactly.
And it's all about being right at the very bottom. And I suppose that must resonate with a lot of people who are close to the bottom. And that's what this global happiness crusade and campaign is all about. It's all about trying to help people to see that somebody who's in this sort of situation, who many people couldn't imagine rebuilding after what you've done. You've done a tremendous thing, and most of it is mental more than physical.
It is.
I hope you're enjoying this special episode of Happiness in Their World. Follow the Global Happiness Crusade on social media, on LinkedIn or Facebook, for more conversations that matter. And now, back for more inspiration with Dave Watson. Okay, what was it like, talking about your sporting history now, what was it like going from the rejection in 2016 to winning gold medals and standing on the podium in 2017 and 18?
So I've always wanted to make something of sport. I've always wanted to get somewhere, and I went for the Invictus.
This was Prince Harry's Invictus Games, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I went for the Invictus, and I got turned down. 2015, and I went for it again in 2016 got rejected again, and that's when I broke down. Because I put blood, sweat, and tears into training. It took me away from my family, and I literally broke down in tears. And I went, I can't do it anymore. I can't go away from you or train like I have been doing to get rejected again. And it weren't until was me and Becky got married in 2015, and we were coming back from our honeymoon, and the Invictus had just landed back from the games, and that was a bad spell on a brilliant holiday. We've landed at Heathrow, and we were coming out where people meet you, and because I'm in my wheelchair, missing 3 limbs, I've gone out, and everyone started cheering because they thought I was part of the Invictus. I'm like, no, they're behind. And then Becky, we got home, and then Becky applied after rejection in 2016. Becky logged onto my emails, sent an email to the Invictus side of it to apply me to go to the training camps and that. And I got this. I was checking my emails. I didn't know nothing about it. Checked my emails, and I had this email from the Invictus saying, "Yeah, you can come to the trials." But and I went, "I haven't applied." And Becky went, "I did it for you because I know you can do it. I know you can carry on, and I know you can pick yourself up." So I went for it, and then I got selected to do Canada in 2017. And that was just amazing. I only picked 2 sports, my discus and shot put, because that's what I wanted to do. The first one was shot put, and I got bronze in that. But being on the podium, and because that was one of my goals, to come away with something what showed I've worked so hard to get where I wanted to be. And when that bronze medal got put around my neck, I literally broke down in tears on the podium.
Must have felt like gold.
It felt amazing. It was, and I got what I wanted, and I just broke down in tears. And then the next day was my discus event, and I won that, and I got gold. And I got on the podium. I got the gold medal around my neck, but that didn't mean as much to me as what that bronze did. It sounds silly, but that first medal,
first recognition,
that's what did it for me. And yeah, I got a gold medal, which it was amazing, but it was that first medal what hit me harder because I wanted to come away with something, and I did. And then from there, I've come away from the games, carried on with the sport, competing all around the country, and then I went for the Invictus again. But I wanted to do it differently than the first time. I wanted to compete and help the new guys coming through. So be like a mentor to them as I'm competing. And I wanted to push myself as well. And I did. I pushed myself. I picked an extra, cause after the games in Canada, I was going around supporting the rest of the guys. But while I was sporting, I'm like, well, I can do that, and I can do that, or I can do that. So I pushed myself for Australia. Discus and shot put, yeah, no doubt about it. But I picked the indoor rowing as well, and I got selected for Australia. I went out and I did the indoor rowing, the 4 minute and the 1 minute endurance, and I come away with 2 silvers from that, which were amazing because I've only been doing it not even 6 months. And then my discus and shot put, my goals were to up my bronze to a different colour and to remain the Invictus champion, which I did. I went to shot put and I became the Invictus champion and come away with gold. and I kept my gold medal for the discus, so I remained the Invictus champion. But after that, I retired after I got back because I'd just had 2 girls. They were still babies, and I didn't want to leave them for doing the sport. I wanted to watch them grow up.
Must have been wonderful to represent your country again, not as a soldier, but as an athlete this time.
Oh, it were amazing just to have that Union Jack flag on my chest again. It felt the same but different. I wasn't looking after my country. I was competing for my country.
Yeah.
So yeah, it were the same but different.
Okay, Dave, can we talk about the unexpected side of recovery? Was there anything surprising that you learned about yourself in the process of recovering?
There was actually. The thing I learned about myself was I was stronger than what I thought I were. Because back in Afghan, this happened to a friend of mine, and we heard it on the radio, and I turned around to the guys. I said, if that ever happens to me, I won't put a bullet in me because I don't think I'd be able to survive. But doing all my rehab and learning to walk again and the sport and everything, it taught me that I'm stronger than what I thought I were.
Now, you've already talked about, we've already heard your examples of humour, but are there any other instances of where you found humour in places where no one else would even think to look?
I always found humour out of everything. I can pick up on the littlest things and turn it into a joke about what's happened. I'll give you one example. So my mother-in-law, the girls are at home, and you know what girls are like and young lads. The rooms are always filthy and everything. So I've gone to walk into my young girl's room to put her to bed. The mother-in-law's sat in the chair, and she went, "Oh, Dave, don't go in there. It's like a minefield." And I went, "Oh no, not again." And that's what that. Do you know what I mean? It's just stuff like that, or
how do other people react to that? How do your mother-in-law react to that? Did she laugh?
She literally goes, "Oh shit!" It's like, "Oh no," and it's just I just catch them just at the right time.
Yeah.
So I went like the Lake District. I went to do some like rock climbing and boat like sailing and stuff like that. And the guys that were doing the boat, they put this life jacket on me. And because we were waiting at the time, I smoked. So I'm sat there waiting with a life jacket on, and I lit this fag up. And he turned around to me and he said, "Don't smoke with that on, it'll blow up." I went, "Oh no, I don't want to go through that again." And he's like, "Oh no." But it's all like people don't think. People don't think like if I do something wrong, "Oh, Dave, you ain't got a leg to stand on now." I haven't anyway. And they're like, it just comes. They're like,
anytime anybody uses the word legless,
yeah,
you got to come throw a funny one at them.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, Dave, do you fancy coming for a drink tonight?" "Oh no, mate, I'm legless enough." And like a lot of people, I think, get like peed off with it, and they're like, "Oh, stop it, Dave." But I like it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I want to
yeah.
see people's reactions on what's going on. So I just pick it up, and they're like belt fed.
Yeah, it's a great part of your character. In the middle, let's move on to talk about love, family, and the next chapter for Dave Watson. Somewhere in the middle of all of this, you found love with Becky. Can you just tell us a little bit about that story?
Yeah, so I went to a charity event. I was going to a charity event, and Becky was at the charity event, and we met, started chatting, and then things went from there. So yeah, me and Becky ended up getting married in 2015, but she's been my rock through all this. She's pushed me the most to do and get to where I am today.
So at times when you've felt low,
she's picked me back up again.
Picked you up and pushed you through.
She's picked me back. She's pushed me through, and she's always been the same. It's like every time if ever I need to go into like a wheelchair, she sees my mood drop straight away because I hate being in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I've not been I've been in a wheelchair twice since 2015, since I had to have an operation. But she knows when I'm in a chair, my mood changes.
Yeah.
So she tries her best to pick me up from that. Or if she thinks I can't, like if I'm struggling doing something, she'll be like, "You know you can do this. Just get it done."
So obviously family means a lot to you. What does family and being a dad, what has that taught you about resilience and happiness?
Oh, like having a family, not just having Becky, but having the girls. That's shown me that everything I do, I need to show them, because I want to be be their main. What can I say? Example. Yeah. I want to be the biggest example to them, to say, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant because my girls now will do everything on their own, because they've seen me do it on my own.
Do you think your kids have become stronger because of what you've shared with them? And
yeah, 100%.
This is
being
day in, day out.
Being like this, and then watching me day in, day out. It's exactly the same as the Invictus Games. At the time, they were babies when I was competing. So as they're getting older, they've just seen pictures and my medals and little bits of videos. Like the Invictus Games are coming back to Birmingham in 2027. I retired in 2018 to be with my family. My girls are that age now where they come into the living room and they said to me, "We want you to do it again." And I'm like, "Are you joking me?" I'm like 15 and a half stone. I've like put weight on since little, and they're like, "We want you to do it again." So when my girls ask me to do something, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And if it makes them achieve more in their life, I'll do it. And I've come out of retirement now and I'm training again, so they can see what Daddy used to do.
On the basic subject of happiness, after everything you've experienced, what does happiness mean to you now?
Happiness means a lot to me. Happiness it's my world, because ever since coming away from the dark side, what I was in, all I've ever been is happy. I've always got a smile on my face. Everything I do with a smile on my face. It's my world. It's like I can do anything. You can do anything with a smile on your face.
I've known you a while now, and every time I've ever met you, I've always known you to have a smile on your face.
Always.
And usually it's a taking the mickey smile. You know, it's out of somebody like me this morning. I turned up late and you said, "Where have you been?" It's just another Dave Watson comment, which is brilliant. Okay, so do you believe happiness is a choice or a mindset or something else?
I'd say happiness is two of them three. It's a choice and a mindset. You've got to get into that mindset to be happy. Because if you're not in that place, you're never going to be happy.
Yeah.
If you're in that dark hole, you can't be happy and be in a dark hole.
No.
You've got to get out of that, find something, and then get in that mindset and then be happy. That's the way I did it.
Okay, so if someone's watching this video is feeling broken, lost or hopeless, is there anything that you can think to say to them?
What would I do? Just think about what would I do. I'd take myself out I'd take myself out and go on a walk around a lake somewhere, because you can't beat walking around a lake.
Yeah.
Or if you fish, take yourself off fishing.
Yeah.
That's what I did. Like, fishing to me is a brilliant source of mentality. It'll, like, you're thinking about other things, not thinking about the bad things. You've got
Yeah.
other things to think about, and it's a brilliant mind healer. So whenever I'm feeling down or whatever, I'll take myself off fishing, because I'm in my own space, I'm in my own world, and I love just being in my own world, being out in the countryside. Just go walks, do whatever, go to the gym. You will find that happy place, trust me.
Okay, let's talk about Dave Watson, the motivational speaker, the mentor. You're now a sought after speaker. Is there a core message that you give out to people when you're doing your speaking?
I just want to motivate people just to do more with their lives, and like people what have gone through like my past with the drink and the drugs. There is a way out. You can change your lives, and especially you'll see it a lot in Birmingham town centre and London. You'll just see people in suits rushing around doing work. They never got time for themselves. And mine is to motivate people to have time for themselves. You need time for yourself to readjust and to do more. There's a lot more things out there.
You've got a definite sense of purpose now with your motivational speaking, and the people that you inspire. Can you see that purpose is a dramatically important thing for people to have in order to be able to gain the happiness that we're all seeking?
Yeah, 100%. Because you can see a lot of these office people that work in an office, suit and tie all day long. They don't look happy to me, because they're always rushing around with a briefcase and suits and rushing from one meeting to another. That's not life. Life's for living. You like, if you own the company or you're a manager of a company, you can afford to take 2 days off and have that time to yourself and readjust and do something for yourself.
And finding, I call it having a definite major purpose in life.
Yeah.
Something more important that's bigger than your job, bigger than the people that you work with. It's more important than that. Just like your new business is. So, what's your vision for the future? What lies ahead for Dave Watson?
I've got a few things in the pipeline. I'm not letting them all go yet, but like I said before, my kids come up to me a few months ago, and they want to see me compete again. So I've come out of retirement. I am now training and trying to compete and get selected for the Birmingham Invictus in 2027. I am going to use that games to show my girls what I used to do, and use that as a farewell to discus and shot put, because I've been competing ever since 2013 to 2018. I competed for 5 years straight, all the way around the country, and this one's now just to say a farewell to discus and shot put, and to show my girls what I used to do.
Can you express how you believe organisations, schools, individuals can actually benefit from hearing your story?
They can benefit from hearing my story. Getting, like, the kids, they're in school all day, they're doing the work, and maybe listening to me, they'll go home and do something special with their lives. They might go home to the mums and dads and say, "Oh, I want to take up running, or I want to take up discus and shot put, or I want to do some sort of sport." because the kids what are growing up now, they're our next Olympians and Paralympians.
Yeah.
So getting the kids into sports now, that's where they'll be in years to come. They'll be getting a gold, silver, or bronze medal around their neck.
If the world paused and truly listened to Dave Watson for 30 seconds, what would you want to say?
What would I want to say to the world? That's an hard one, Steve.
I know.
That's an hard one. But what I would say is just take time for yourself. Stop all this negativity. Less of the negativity, and let's just all live a peaceful life.
Strangely, that resonates with me, because it's a big part of the Global Happiness Crusade, to try and change people's perspectives on life in general. You know, the world is filled with negativity. It's filled with bad news stories.
Yeah.
And we don't get an equal balance of the positive news, the good news stories that are out there. And that's what I believe we need to, advocate. We need to advocate for more happiness, for more love, and for more compassion in the world with each other.
I agree with you 100%.
Okay, so Dave, it's been an absolute honour and a privilege hearing your story. You've inspired me, and I know you'll motivate thousands more people in your future audiences. Thank you for sharing your story with us today. Folks, to book Dave as a speaker, you can visit his website at www.dwmotivation.co.uk, or you can find him on social media, and the links will also appear beneath this video. Trust us, when you book Dave Watson, you'll never forget hearing his story in person. Dave, thanks again, my friend.
Steve, thank you for having me on.
Thank you, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching this powerful episode of Happiness in Their World with Dave Watson. Dave's story reminds us that resilience isn't just about surviving. It's about transforming pain into purpose and rising stronger than before. If you're looking to inspire your team, your students, or your audience, you can book Dave for your next event at www.dwmotivation.co.uk. Trust me, you'll never forget hearing Dave speak in person. And if this conversation moved you, join us at the Global Happiness Crusade on LinkedIn and Facebook. Be part of a growing community focused on hope, well-being, and making happiness a global priority. We've got more incredible guests coming up, so keep an eye out for more Happiness in Their World episodes, because these are the conversations that matter.